We've been hearing for years, ever since Mr. JBP himself, Mr. Jordan B. Peterson, brought it to our attention years ago in Canada. Like, this draconian law, you're forcing compelling speech, you're making us do trans people's pronouns. How dare you? Like, this law is going to result in people getting arrested. And then they won't be able to get a job anywhere. It's a whole thing. And we've been having this conversation for like 6 years minimum. That was like how he became famous too, was complaining about Canada enshrining workplace harassment protections for trans people. That's what that was, by the way. It was if you repeatedly use the wrong pronouns and name for someone in the workplace, that's workplace discrimination. And nobody, as far as I know, has ever been arrested. Maybe some people received disciplinary action at their jobs. Maybe. But as far as I know, nobody's ever gone to jail. So this is a conversation that we've been having for a while is, you're forcing us to do this, blah, blah, blah. And if you've been watching my channel more recently, you will know that in America, we're having this extreme backlash where some states are passing laws saying that you cannot use the preferred name and pronouns of a kid, even if the parents want you to. Going so far in Missouri as to make it a crime that would put you on a sex offender registry, because apparently calling a kid by the nickname they've asked for is equivalent to like physically harming a child. So knowing that that's the direction that things are going in America, we have this article about an event that I think happened in the UK. It looks like it happened in the UK. And I believe from what I've read, this article is kind of editorializing in a way that we normally wouldn't. If you're enjoying this video, hit the like button, maybe subscribe, hit all notifications if you want. Feel free to check out the links in the description. You might find some merch you like, or you can hit up the Patreon to support the content and find free stuff. So let's look at this. Teacher sacked for, quote, refusing to use transgender students' chosen pronouns. Kevin Lister told a tribunal he felt he was being made to play a role in something he disagreed with, and that the college had overstepped its powers by compelling him to do so. So this is at a college, which means that we're dealing with a situation where adults are having mutual respect for each other. So a student at a college is legally an adult, and they are deserving of basically the equivalent of workplace protections. Also, I have to say that this, like, it is reductive in a way that makes it seem like, he just refused to use these pronouns and this kid made it such a big deal. We'll get into it though. He refused to refer to, quote, a 17-year-old. Oh wait, why? Why is a 17-year-old at college? Biologically female student by their preferred male name and he, him pronouns in the A-level lessons. The 60-year-old is claiming unfair dismissal by New College Swindon after he was sacked for gross misconduct in September 22 following complaints by 2 students. Mr. Lister told an employment tribunal in Bristol that when this teenager chose to use male pronouns, it had the effect of, quote, compelled speech, meaning he and fellow students had to follow their wish irrespective of their own beliefs. Yeah, man, that's how basic respect goes. Like, I don't have to agree that your name is Jordan. I could decide to call you Susan. And if I did that persistently enough, and if you kept telling me to stop and I kept doing it, that's harassment. So it really doesn't matter, what you think you should be allowed to call other people. If they find it rude and disrespectful and they tell you that and you don't stop, that's not acceptable. Oh, in some places, college does refer to high school. Okay, cool. I'm just an American and I don't understand Brits. That's my bad. I took issue with the demand on me to socially transition children who are unable to make an informed decision. Oh, like that 17-year-old who's about to be an adult? Oh, that 17-year-old who, at least in the United States, they start recruiting for military enrollment? Like, honestly, you think someone who's almost an adult is being socially transitioned and is unable to make an informed decision? All right, you become magically able to make informed decisions midnight on your 18th birthday, as everybody knows. You are imbued with a magical quality where you're suddenly able to understand the effects of your actions. He continues, the intention of the policy is to encourage children to socially transition and to push them towards transgender lobby groups. It is not the role of a maths teacher to confirm the gender transition and social transition of a student. And then he goes on to misgender the student, saying that the student does not have the right to compel teachers and other students who do not share their views. Okay, like, the victim mentality is like off the charts on this. I can't believe you're trying to force me to have basic respect for you. Again, that's what's at issue here. Like, it doesn't matter whether you agree ideologically. It's about having basic human respect for other individuals. But there's also the thing where they're like, this is a lie. You're making me lie. Like, okay, am I making you lie if I'm going by a nickname? You know that that's not my legal biological name. Like, are you gonna start being the arbiter? If someone comes in and their name is Michael and they look like a female, are you going to refuse to call them Michael because you assume that they're trans? Well, guess what, B-word? Michael was originally a girl's name and it became a boy's name in like the 1920s, which is also around the same time that pink stopped being the color associated with baby boys. It literally flipped. It used to be that pink was associated with boys because it's just a milder form of red. It's a vitality. It's a strength. And like baby blue was associated with baby girls. Why has that changed? Who the hell knows? Gender is completely wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. Like, it means nothing. Yeah, if a student were to refer to this teacher as ma'am, I'm sure that he would take issue with that and say it's disrespectful. And I'm sure that he would also say, well, that's a different thing because I am actually a man. You can't make me participate in your delusion, whatever. Like, man. He says as a teacher, he has an obligation to teach facts. When this student asked whether they could enter a nationwide maths competition for girls, he replied, of course you can enter because you are a girl. That's rude. You could have just said, of course you can enter. Or you could have just said yes and not been a huge dickbag about it. At this point, you are going out of your way to be rude, which is harassment. He was also asked to explain why he had written the student's prior name on the whiteboard. And he says, I put her name on the board in the name that she would be entered into the competition. I don't accept it as a dead name. I make the point that the name I wrote on the board is the name she would be using to enter her into the girls' maths competition. So he is putting this teenager on blast in front of all of their peers, all of his peers, he, him pronouns. So the framing of this as, oh, he just refused to use the pronouns. He didn't just refuse to use the pronouns. He went out of his way to misgender this person, to use the wrong name. Like, why would you put the name on the board? Like, the name that you're writing on the board, it's not like you're submitting that paperwork to the competition. Like, on the competition, you could put like, oh yeah, this is the student's name and they have a preferred nickname so that they can be announced as their preferred nickname. Just, this is how things normally work. But in the classroom, why would you not put the name that all of the peers know them as on the board? Because it's targeted harassment. That's the thing. And whether you think that being trans is a specifically protected characteristic or not, which, by the way, it is, according to the Equality Act 2010, I'm pretty certain, doing this in front of everybody, calling you out in front of everybody, calling you a girl to your face, that is trans-specific harassment, but it is harassment even elsewise. Like, if you're trying to change your name and your teacher is writing your dead name in front of everybody, you're making a whole song and dance about it. Rough draft-ass character, no nuance at all. Boring, right? What is with all of these people and how boring they are? When I was a teenager, we always reminded each other that if we're at this point of getting petty with teenagers, we're already losing. Girl, like, why are you trying to be so petty with a teenager? Why are you getting on this level and going, I'm gonna bully a 17-year-old right now? Get something new to do. My college professor was blunt and said, never get in a pissing contest with a student. Like, you are a 60-year-old person and you think of this person as a child. Why are you deliberately causing pain to a child? Like, you're like, I'm going to prove a point and make this child's life harder. And like, I don't think a 17-year-old is a literal child, to be clear. Just like, if that's your view that, oh, this is a vulnerable youth, child, baby person who can't make their own decisions about anything. Like, yeah, why are you making that person's life harder? You don't have to like go out of your way to make people's lives easier, but you could at least not actively make them harder. What a concept. Yeah, authority has all kinds of nasty effects on people. And he's not like unique. I have so many stories I've heard of people talking about teachers power tripping with them when they were teenagers. Like teachers griefing them. Teachers getting involved in the rumors and the drama. Like, what the f is your problem? But hey, he lost his job. Because as awful as the UK is, they do have the Equality Act. It is considered unacceptable to harass someone for these reasons in specific instances. in the workplace, in schools, even growing up through your teenage years, you'll never forget that one teacher or even more teachers, like that time that they were negative with you, even well into your adult years. Imagine being like a leader in a youth's life and like setting an example. This is the example that you're setting for this teenager. Like you're telling this teenager that they're not deserving of respect. You're teaching this teenager that people in positions of authority will go out of their way to hurt them. What do you think that like effect is going to be? Do you think you're creating a situation where the kid is going to be like receptive to authority figures in the future? I don't know what you think you're accomplishing here. Yeah, several people in chat here saying like there were teachers who bullied students. It sticks with you. It's just another Tuesday for the teacher. You're just another group of kids. Like, oh, they'll cycle out. We'll get a new group next year. But you leave a lasting impression on these kids. That's supposed to be one of the appeals of being a teacher, is knowing that you get to have a positive effect on kids. But you know what? This guy's a math teacher. And here's something that I know is that math teachers are the worst teachers. I don't know why. I don't know what it is about people who end up teaching math. I don't think it's like your life's aspiration. I don't think math teachers got there because they wanted to be there. And maybe that's why they are all such awful people. So it makes perfect sense that he's paying it forward. Hey, sorry, it's the next day and I'm editing and I was taking a little break and I was scrolling through Twitter and I found out that this guy in this story on day 4 of the tribunal, after this teacher was sacked, apparently he admitted to, quote, sitting the student down and giving unwanted medical advice, saying to be, quote, very careful. And so here's, I believe that this is the transcript, and it goes into it. It's very small for you. I'm so sorry. I'll read some of it to you. So first of all, the tribunal says you could have used a gender-neutral pronoun. The tribunal person says mutual respect and tolerance is the expectation, having your own views but not imposing them on others. The teacher responds, should a teacher not be able to explain the risks to students of their proposed course of action? The tribunal says, your role was to teach maths. There are pastoral staff to explore gender views and other PCs among students. And then the teacher says, why should teachers not talk to students about the risks, for example, of starting testosterone? What? So not only was this guy misgendering this student and harassing them by dead naming them in front of the entire class, but he also was going out of his way, sitting the student down to talk about the risks of starting testosterone. And another person on the tribunal correctly points out, we are education professionals, not here to address medical issues. And then you're asking about parental consent, but that you already have an email for parental consent to use the pronouns. So, holy cow, I just wanted to tell you that bit. I could not wait until Sunday. Could not wait. So, cool. All right, see you next time. Much love to my patrons, especially Tiago Nascimento, Mersh Rolvog, Michelle Frateroli, Amanda B., Wellington Marcus, Michelle Winter, Danielle McDonald, DZXN, Suzanne Maynard, Spooky Heather Sylvia, Jamie Jam, Pasnell Infinity, Nova, Sojo, Elizabeth Bartell, Ella V. Nobody, Kevin Young, Sarah A., Athiet, Celeste, Desi Quiche, Liam Hodgson, and Mr. Atheist.